I'm Tarot Oracle, and this is a continuation of Tarot and Astrology. So today we're doing the Lovers represented by Gemini, which is an air element, and it's also mutable. In other words, changing, ready for change, adaptable to change. And that's sort of the theme that we have with Gemini, is the adaptability, the ability to quickly learn, quickly figure out the new situation that they're in, and be able to obviously adapt to it. So when we talk about this in a reading, what could we do with an air? Obviously communication, talking, and adaptability, that aspect of it. So if we're in a new situation, wandering into something completely different, maybe the Lovers, in addition to or a substitution for meeting someone or falling in love or whatever, could possibly represent the ability to adapt to that. We have this brand new adventure, we're heading towards it, and the next card is the Lovers. Could be that this adventure is going to be good for us. This is going to be something that is going to be beneficial because we're going to be able to adapt to it. Now you do have, obviously, the other card, the Two of Cups, which also represents love, and you have the whole loving feeling between these two. So if you have this, we could be looking at a different type of love than this because of the Gemini aspect of it. Now, if you do have something to learn quickly, you could be looking at highly beneficial if you have work involved, right? So have a work-involved reading. They have a work-involved reading, and it's a new venture at work. So we have a brand new venture at work, and what's going to come out of it, we're going to be able to survive or something like that. So we have a work reading, they have a new job or something, you pull these type of cards, we have a new adventure, a brand new place, it's going to be a workplace type thing, and maybe we could be meeting a Lovers there, maybe we could be meeting our soulmate, who knows, but also, you could be looking at the Gemini. Again, the adaptability, the able to learn quickly, able to get things done very quickly as well. So, reversed, you're looking at sort of maybe not able to adapt quickly. Maybe it's a bit indecisive. We're not really sure where to go or what to do. So, if we're on this new adventure, now we really can't adapt to it very well. If we have that new job or we're juggling different things, maybe we can't adapt as well as we had hoped for. And in order to overcome that, we're going to have to survive that within ourselves or adapt to that eventually within ourselves and sort of fight it out amongst ourselves and get that done. So clean it up, maybe face our inner demons or something like this, and be able to return back to the adaptability that we had when it was here. Reversed also, you could be looking at sort of an inconsistent feel to where we're not exactly the duality of the Gemini, able to go back and forth and have that duality is suppressed, or it's not able to be robust in the situation that we're in, and then we can work to resolve that as well. So Gemini, Lovers go together, and that is our first card. And our next card is the Chariot, which is associated with the sign of Cancer. Now that is a cardinal sign, and it is a water sign as well. So you are sort of linked into the emotions. You got that emotional thing going on, and you're able to sort of be the guiding factor in those emotions. So that's a lot of loyalty, a lot of family. You'll have Cancers that you'll meet, and they're just really, really heavy family people, and they're really in sync with their emotion. They're able to bring others into the fold and make sort of a family or a tight-knit group of friends or things like that. They're also very loyal, obviously, and they're going to be emotional and sympathetic to other people's opinions and things like this. So when we look at the Chariot, we do see that side of the Chariot to where we have that movement. In most things, the Chariot is moving. In a lot of cards, though, the Chariot is stuck. It has iron wheels, or it has, sort of a squared off wheels, or it's built from solid stone or something like that, and it's not really going anywhere. And that's one of the aspects of the Chariot. is it going somewhere or not? And different decks represent that in different ways. So you could be going somewhere maybe emotionally. You could be going somewhere in the family realm as well. And it could be a loyalty that's moving or a loyalty that's going somewhere. So once you have that water cardinal sign, it definitely doesn't hesitate, it gets going. So if you have some situations where you're juggling a few different options, you could not only be looking at movement from the chariot and all the chariot things that go along with it, but it could be an emotional type thing. We could be looking at an emotional attachment, juggling different emotions. So you have 2 or 3 different people that you're interested in or whatever, you're sort of juggling that emotion as well. So we could have a card like the 2 of Cups, for example. Maybe we're juggling something in love, juggling multiple options in love. Maybe you have a lover far away, and then you have someone close by or something like this. So you have these options, and you're looking at this. So we're going to be able to adapt to that and be able to use our emotions and things like that to resolve these situations, or go to the heart, go to where obviously the water sign of Cancer, go to where the heart is, use those emotions, use that loyalty and things like that for the love that you had chosen. In work, could be looking at an emotional decision at work. Maybe we have some friends at work, some of them are leaving or something like that. You could have, like this, you could have some friends or something that are leaving work, and it affects you emotionally, or it's sort of an emotional turmoil that you have is there as well. So if you do have an existing relationship, for example, and you're trying to keep that at bay, and maybe you have the Tower coming in, you're going to be able to resolve this better with the emotional stability, with that loyalty that you have in the Chariot. That's going to indicate a different outcome from the turmoil that you feel, the turmoil that you have in the relationship, because you have that loyalty and because you have that emotional stability as well. So another thing with the Chariot and with Cancer is the ability to persuade and the ability to connect and things like that. So if you are sort of set off and you're looking for a relationship, you're going to be able to possibly not only move towards a new relationship from a broken relationship or something like that, but you're going to have an easier time of it than someone who's not that family-oriented or something like that. So the Chariot, definitely Cancer, again, a water and cardinal sign ruled by the moon. And again, very loyal, very emotional, able to persuade, and also very in tune with other people's emotions and able to see things like that. So not only do you have the movement, but you have all these sort of a family-oriented, love-oriented things associated with the Chariot. So upside down, we're going to be sort of the opposite, maybe not so loyal, maybe a bit insecure. Instead of having these rock-solid emotions, these stable emotions, you could be looking at somebody who's quite moody or changes his mood all the time, and it's not exactly a stable situation. So you could have the new adventure. The new adventure could sort of kick you off into a bit of a turmoil there, as well as you have a turmoil card after that. We could be looking at a mixture of that. So you have the new adventure. It's going to be a bit moody. It's going to make you a bit pessimistic or whatnot. And there's going to be some change coming because of that and because of the new adventure. So maybe the emotional stability is not there. Maybe the loyalty is not there as well. What if we have a love reading to where we have the lovers and everything's going well and they want to know what's happening in the future? Or maybe the 2 of Cups. What's happening in our future? Well, maybe it doesn't look as good as possible because that family, that stability, that knowledge that you have that everything is going to be okay, the ability to connect to people emotionally, having the solid emotions and the solid links between people could be broken, and it could lead to isolation, loneliness, or despair. So definitely a lot of interesting things with the Chariot. Not only are we looking at the movement and things like that, we have this water cardinal mix and mixes in with that moon ruler for Cancer. And the next card we have is Strength. Now we're wandering into Leo territory now, the Lion, which makes sense because most of these Strength cards have the Lion. Easy to remember for Strength. Now, Leo is ruled by the Sun. Sun is very active, Sun is very stable, Sun is chasing your dreams. It's also a fire, which makes sense. So Leo and the fire, and you have that the orangish, and you have the yellow-orangish fire, but it's also fixed, so there's a lot of stability here. So most of these cards, you can sort of sense that stability within the card as well, because you have this calmness, you know, the protector here, the connection with the protector and things like that. So Leo has a lot of strengths, including generous, you know, a good person and things like that, but also has a creativity to it as well as a passion. So Leo doesn't just sit around. Leo does have that passion to go after what it needs. And it also has that calmness brought in by the fixed quality of Leo. And the calmness is going to give, again, we have this rock-solid stability. We have this generosity, being cheerful, and an overall good person. So if you do have this romantic leaning and you want to know how it's going to go, we could be looking at Strength, meaning we have that fixed element, we have that calmness, and everything's going to be okay. There's going to be some good connections, it's going to be with a good person. Strength not only is going to be the stability, which obviously you have and everyone kind of understands with the card Strength, but you also could be looking at, again, a good person, a warm-hearted person, and generosity, passion, and things like that. So if we do have a reading, I met this new person, what do you think about them? You know, here's the new person and all that, but you have that Strength. Not only, again, the Strength card meaning, hey, it's going to be a good connection, it's going to be a strong connection, but it's also going to be a generous, it's also going to be a good person that you're in as well. So a passionate person, someone that you're going to be able to enjoy and all of that stuff. So the fixed, again, gives you stability in the relationship and things like that. And we could also sort of bleed that into a work reading, have a new job or something like that. Well, it's going to be something that you can get passionate. It's going to be something that a bit more stable maybe than what you're used to and things like that. So again, we all have that Strength. We all have that stability, that protectorship of the Lion within the cards and things like that. So it sort of enhances itself with the Leo stuff. So now we can turn this upside down, maybe not so much. Maybe not a generous person, maybe a bit of a hoarder, maybe someone who's not going to be that good. Maybe someone who doesn't get things done. Instead of fixed, he's all over the place, maybe he's not so stable. So again, the work reading could be opposite. Could be looking at something that's not very stable, not fixed. You could be looking at something that's not going to be as good as you had thought of as well. Obviously, with a love reading, another love reading, etc., you could be doing that as well. So if we're taking a trip, maybe the trip won't be as stable as we thought. Maybe there's a lot of changes. Maybe there's a lot of things coming around that we didn't quite expect. If you have a love reading, maybe you're looking at a separation after a fight because of the fixed element, the stability going upside down and things like that. So not only do you have Strength telling you to persevere, Strength telling you do you have protectorship sort of over the situation, you're being protected, but maybe upside down. Again, we're looking at maybe not so fixed or not as flexible and enjoyable as you had thought it was going to be. So adding in Leo doesn't give us a huge amount of difference between the basic readings of the card, but it does sort of enhance the reading with the new material of the fire fixed Leo sign. Now next we have the Hermit, and the Hermit is an earth sign, so very stable, and it's also mutable, and this is Virgo. So Virgo is ruled by Mercury, And Virgo is sort of the hardworking, maybe a bit too anal, maybe a bit too practical, loyal, and way too over-analytical. So Virgo is going to look at, Virgo is on a diet. Virgo is going to read 700 diet books or ask 900 people about the diet. It's going to read every single part of the diet and all this other stuff. And Virgo's always on a diet. So I know because I'm a Virgo. So Virgo is sort of that OCD quality that we have, but it is a loyal, it is a earth mutable sign. Mercury is going to give it that communicative property that Virgo has, and Virgo is extremely hardworking, a bit maybe too much, but analytical, hardworking, a bit maybe too much. So if we do have the Virgo, and we have that represented by the Hermit, and you do have a love reading to where you're not really sure if the person is going to be good or not. You could be looking at not only the Hermit by themselves, but because Virgo does like the alone time, but we're also looking at a pretty kind person, maybe a bit too much thought. And you see this in most Hermit cards, right? The Hermit's in a situation where they're deep in thought, and that's how the Hermit rolls. Seems like most Hermit cards, not only is it about being alone, but it's about deep in thought, really overthinking, possibly a bit too much, but also pretty practical. So if you have a lover that is the Hermit, not only could you be looking at the alone aspect, obviously, of the card, but again, sort of look to that a bit hardworking, maybe too much. Analytical, very, very practical, but overall, just a good person, Virgo, a good card. So again, think of a bit sort of like the thinker statue, maybe, right? The thinker sitting there and thinking. Maybe the Hermit is deep in thought, looking out into the ocean or things like that. So if you do have that, not only can you look at maybe the aloneness of the Hermit card, which we all do with the Hermit card, but also a bit of that as well. So now work. Work is really going to be good with the Hermit. The Hermit is the Virgo is a good working sign. It's a bit maybe too much hardworking, but it is a good hardworking sign. Now, it could be one of those situations to where you're overthinking the job. So maybe the Virgo goes into the job and overthinks it a bit too much. You don't really need to put that much thought into it. We just need to deliver this product. So if we do have a new associate that's a Hermit, not only could be looking at alone and possibly thinking a bit too much on stuff, but maybe a lot of planning, a lot of thought, and not really getting to the meat of the work or something like that. But the Hermit and the Virgo is a hard-working card. So it is going to eventually do it, but maybe could use a bit of guidance to more of the working side rather than the thinking side in many cases. So if you're having a new adventure or things like that, and you're sort of juggling that, or you don't know which path could be the best path to go, we could be looking at the Hermit could sort of figure that out and be able to outthink that and determine the best possible choice in that as well. So you could have a double aloneness as well. So you could have a bit of a hoarder, which the Hermit does have Virgo does have a little bit of a hoarding aspect to it, sort of collecting things, liking to have things and stuff like that. As well as the Hermit is a very healthy card, very concerned about the health. The Virgo's always concerned about the health. So definitely something to look forward to or look into when the Hermit hits the table. So I know we all look at the Hermit for the alone aspect and sort of being by himself and whatnot. But again, look at the Virgo aspects. Pick up Sun Signs, Linda Goodman, and read up on that and all about the Virgo and all this other stuff. So now the Virgo upside down could be looking at a bit too much of self-criticism. Maybe I shouldn't have done it this way. Maybe I should have done it that way. Maybe I'm 5 pounds overweight and it's killing me because I can't lose the 5 pounds, whatever. So it could be overcritical and overthinking as well as a negative aspect. Not only do you have possibly the hoarding part or the aloneness or sort of hiding and the shyness here, but this turned upside down normally would read as, don't want to be alone. Maybe you want to be in more of a social situations and things like that, and maybe you're looking for a lover or whatever. But upside down, you're looking at Virgo upside down as well. So instead of this mutable, changeable earth, fixed, not fixed literally, but earth, mutable sign with a ruler of Mercury, maybe that Mercury communication is not going to be as good as it possibly could, right? Maybe you have a bit of worrying, a bit being cynical about everything, overthinking all that stuff, maybe a workaholic as well. So you could have a lot of inner turmoil, a lot of inner fight between you and the outside world, and sort of wanting to be alone, not really alone, but wanting to be in your head a bit too much with all the cynical thoughts, or maybe a workaholic. So if you have a work and the Hermit upside down, you could be looking at a workaholic situation as well. So definitely interesting to throw in the Virgo sign into the Hermit. Normally we think of the Hermit as just being by yourself or things like that. Definitely also throw in the mutable, the earth stuff as well. Read up on Virgo and sort of get to know Virgo, right? Get to know the analytical nature, get to know the sort of self-critical nature, the hard-working but maybe overthinking things a bit. Definitely brings in new light to what the Hermit is doing. He's looking out here. Not only does he want to be alone, maybe he wants to be alone because he is the thinker. Maybe he is analyzing things while he's alone, and maybe he does it better by himself. So now we're back to planets. Instead of signs, we are indeed back to planets. And the first planet/card we have is the Wheel of Fortune. So the Wheel of Fortune is all about Jupiter. Now Jupiter is quite large. Jupiter is about expansion. Jupiter is about being greater or bigger than what your surroundings are. Jupiter is about growing and expanding and just being better. So the Wheel of Fortune traditionally, now, I read the Wheel of Fortune different than most people. I see the Wheel of Fortune, one big aspect of this is the cycle of the wheel, right? The wheel goes round and round, and you're on this endless mouse wheel that never ends. Things get better, things get worse. As you can see, things go great, things go bad. You try to get back on the wheel, and there's all sorts of different symbology on the Wheel of Fortune that I find is interesting. But what if the Wheel of Fortune has a different aspect? What if the Wheel of Fortune is about expanding yourself and trying to be better, about making a better time, making a better life, and things like that? So if you're at work, maybe you're trying to get that raise that you've been shooting for so long. Maybe you're trying to get that promotion. So think of the Jupiter. Jupiter is all about fire as well. So you could be looking at not only getting that promotion, but trying to be better, trying to expand your role at work, trying to expand your salary and things like that. So if you're shooting for that, you could be looking at something to where you're competing with that expansion with other people. So you have a good position at work. You're trying to expand it, you're trying to make it better, you're trying to make yourself better at work. You could be looking at a bit of competition or something like that. So as well as you could have a leadership position that you're sort of shooting for at work, and that could be the expansion that you're looking for, and it could be something that allows you to get that done. Now, what if it's in a love relationship? You could be looking at an expansion, but the fire going after that, going after the love and all that other stuff, and then you have the roles of the lovers expanding, maybe into something better, maybe into something that's going to be a bit more challenging. Maybe the expansion of this relationship is not going to be as easy as you thought that it would be, right? So you could be looking at something like that. The expansion of the relationship could end up in a lot of fights, could end up in competition and things like that, as well as it could end up in just a situation to where you're not in a position, not in a good position, or in as good of a position as you were before. You could have a lot of different options for lovers and things like that, which could lead you to expanding and could lead you to making better choices. It could lead you to a bigger relationship, maybe Jupiter, right? You could be looking at maybe a bigger relationship. You're juggling love options and you're looking for something better, looking for something bigger, and it's definitely headed your way because you have now that Jupiter aspect here, and it makes everything sort of interesting. It makes it bigger, and it allows you to expand on that and things like that. So you could be looking at a journey towards expansion. Maybe you're trying to get better at something. Maybe you're trying to focus on a hobby or things like that, and you're looking at that expansion to happen, and maybe you could be looking at it coming very soon. So always remember that Jupiter, when you see the Wheel of Fortune, and it's pretty easy because the wheel is large, and Jupiter is large as well. Just remember you're talking about a fire planet, so look at that as well. And it definitely brings an interesting aspect to the Wheel of Fortune that you didn't see before. Not only just your traditional wheel going round and round, but also the cyclic nature of trying to get on it, having a great time, and then falling off. The whole cycle of life, right? Good times and bad, but going towards an expansion of what you're doing, or going towards getting better and getting in a better position in whatever aspect that you were looking for. So Wheel of Fortune and Jupiter go hand in hand, and always an interesting time thinking about this planet within the card.